In 2022, in preparation for the Spiez Convergence Arms Control Conference, researchers at Collaborations Pharmaceuticals inverted one sign in a generative model's reward function. In under 6 hours on a standard consumer server, the model produced 40,000 molecules, among them VX, plus thousands of novel analogues predicted to be more lethal than VX, none on any government watch list. Safety pasted onto the output of a model is not safety, it is a speed bump. The same mathematical engine that designs a kinase inhibitor designs a nerve agent. These capabilities are not separate modules, they live on one continuous manifold inside the latent space. The only viable safety control is structural, embedded in the geometry of the model itself. Veriprajna calls this latent space governance. The industry standard is the LLM wrapper, a foundation model wrapped in a system prompt and a banned word filter. It fails on 4 counts. First, contextual blindness. The filter blocks the string sarin, it passes the SMILES sequence that is sarin. The model reads chemistry, the filter reads English. Second, activity cliffs. A molecule 99% similar to aspirin can be lethal. A similarity filter sees the resemblance and approves the result. Third, SMILES prompting jailbreaks. Recent studies show bypass rates exceeding 90% against GPT-4 and Claude 3 for specific banned substances. Fourth, the wrapper is post hoc by definition. The model has already performed the dangerous computation. The filter merely decides whether to show the answer. If a synonym defeats your safety system, it is not a safety system. The flip itself is a single sign change. The therapeutic reward function, bioactivity minus lambda times toxicity, inverted to bioactivity plus lambda times toxicity. The generator was untouched. Capability to harm is intrinsic, not a bug, not a separable module. Latent space governance moves the control surface inside the model. 4 layers. Layer 1, the forbidden zone. A separate constraint critic, a value function v of z, is trained on labeled toxic versus safe vectors directly in the latent space. Toxic regions become a negative manifold. The critic is decoupled from the foundation model. When new threats emerge, swap the critic. The base model is never retrained. Layer 2, gradient steering. Sampling is no longer simple. It is Langevin dynamics, biased by the critic at each step. Z is updated by minus alpha times the gradient of v, plus a small noise term. When the trajectory drifts toward the toxic region, the critic's gradient pushes it back before the decoder ever runs. The model imagines a toxin and is mathematically forced to resolve it into a safe analog. Layer 3, topology, not distance. Persistent homology fingerprints the shape of safe data. A vector floating in a low-density void, precisely where novel toxins hide, is rejected on geometry alone, even when no specific predictor recognizes the threat. Layer 4, adaptive incentive, constrained reinforcement learning with a buffer zone. An increasing barrier penalty pushes the agent well within bounds, not just up to the boundary. No oscillation, no edge walking. The reward function is no longer a config file. It is a boundary condition inside the inference engine itself. The MegaSyn experiment is the proof of concept for the threat. A commercial drug design model, an LSDM trained on the public CH-EMBL database, a single inverted reward, and 40,000 candidate weapons on consumer hardware in under 6 hours. Reported in Nature Machine Intelligence in 2022. The proof of defense is statistical, not anecdotal. Latent space governance produces a safety certificate. Probability of constraint violation is bounded on the order of 10 to the minus 6 over the constrained manifold. That number is auditable, it is repeatable, it is durable across novel inputs that have never appeared in a training set. Adversarial cycles run continuously against the deployed system. Tools like Toxic Trap, which uses evolutionary perturbation to flip toxicity labels. Automated SMILES prompting bots, each breach updates the critic. Never the base model, compare the evidence. A wrapper produces a log of rejections, noisy, anecdotal, incomplete. Veriprajna produces a mathematical proof of bounded behavior over the toxic manifold. That is the standard regulators are about to require. The White House Executive Order of October 2023 and the Genesis mission launched in November 2025 name AI-lowered CBRN barriers as a Tier 1 national security threat. NIST AI 600-1 calls out biological design tools by name. ISO 42001 mandates adversarial robustness as a certifiable control. A wrapper cannot demonstrate that it prevents creation. It can only show that it tried to filter. That posture will not survive federal contract review. The Veriprajna posture is different. We move from policy as documentation to policy as geometry. The CBRN manifold is mathematically inaccessible. We do not promise the model will refuse, we prove it cannot reach. This is structurally assured intelligence. Latent space governance for high-stakes generative biodesign. Read the 20-page brief, about 27 minutes. Veriprajna, building true intelligence.